Hi, y'all, and welcome back to KDQ's Astro News. I have Lily here with me. Because today we're going to be talking about Ashlesha. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about the snow moon coming up, and the snow moon this year is going to be in the star Ashlesha. So Ashlesha is actually at the end of Cancer. So we're really going to be having a full moon in Cancer here in sidereal astrology, which, you know, I say it like a million times, but I do sidereal or Vedic astrology, which is what is practiced in the East over in India. And it's a little bit different than what we're used to here in America, here in the West. And the degrees can be a little bit off as well. And so I'm not sure if what it is in tropical astrology. I can't even keep up anymore. But in sidereal astrology, the snow moon this year is going to be in Cancer, the full moon in Cancer. This star, Ashlesha, is actually at the very end of Cancer, and some stars, some nakshatras, are fully in one sign. So here at Ashlesha, we're at the very end. Ashlesha is also known as Hydra. It's the Hydra constellation, which is a huge constellation, but it's specifically the head, like the head of the serpent. And so, you know, in my last video, I was talking about the new moon in Uttara Ashada, and there were so many themes of the mongoose being an enemy of the snake, I think I was talking about. And I was saying that I don't know when, you know, I'm going to be talking about the snakes later, but I knew that snakes were going to be coming up later in the year, but I just didn't expect it to be this soon. And Ashlesha has so much to do with snakes and cats because their animal is actually the male cat. But cats and snakes, strangely enough, at least esoterically here in Vedic astrology, are very similar to each other. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get the rundown out of the way first on what Ashlesha is. So Ashlesha is the clinging star, or sometimes it's called the embrace, but it's very associated with snakes because its deity are the Nagas. And the Nagas are like these they're sentient, serpentine, intelligent beings in the Hindu lore. Like, they have many different types of entities, and these are very like serpentine. It reminds me, actually, if anyone has played any of the Final Fantasy series, it reminds me of lamias, or I can't remember what they were called. My husband would know on Final Fantasy 14, but they're the half woman they're kind of like a mermaid, but their bottom half is a snake. And this reminds me so much of Ashlesha. Ruling deity are these Nagas, these sort of serpentine beings. Their shakti power, because I love talking about the shakti, to know like what is the best thing for us to be focusing on during these moons, because it's the power that's most present and what can be the most effective depending on whether you're healing or manifesting something or just trying to survive. It's nice to kind of know what is the most effective methods right now. And the shakti power for Ashlesha is actually the power to poison or stun, which again goes with this snake motif going on with Ashlesha. And although it is Sattvic and dharmic, which I always like talking about the qualities too, because they usually play a role in the moon's purpose again. And dharma has to do with your life's purpose, and the Sattvic quality is a really pure and uplifted, angelic sort of a quality. This is mixed in with Ashlesha being Rakshasa, which is demonic, Tiksna, which means sharp, and they're one of the very few outcast nakshatras. So I'm not sure if any of you guys have heard of like the hierarchies and stuff in Hinduism. These apply a lot in these nakshatras, and Ashlesha being the outcast nakshatra, it just really stands out to me because, like I was saying in my last video, how snakes and the feminine and this sort of connection between the two can so easily be demonized in our world. And it's not just, you know, in my faith and Christianity, but a lot of places people are very superstitious about snakes, and we see a sort of negative side of that even here in Ashlesha. So there's lots of snakes in Vedic astrology, but Ashlesha becomes this sort of dark, cold mother. And there's a lot of reasons for this. Like I said, Ashlesha is fully in the sign of Cancer, and Cancer is the moon. And actually the sun right now opposing the moon, because it's a full moon that's happening, the full snow moon, is actually, it's still in Capricorn in the star Shravana. And Shravana is also ruled by the moon. So we're kind of getting these two opposing maternal energies that are also very cold, because with Shravana, we have Capricorn. Capricorn, like we learned from the new moon, is very structured, very steady, very practical. They don't want to fuss around too much with emotions. But Shravana, bringing the moon's influence, shows what happens in sort of a more socially appropriate way with the mother, is to be self-sacrificial for the sake of connection, because moon is what kind of meshes us together. It's the subconscious, the collective conscious. It's our home, it's our landing space. Over the holidays, wherever you go is usually your fourth house, and so in astrology. So there's these sort of connected parts both in Shravana from the moon, but also it's kind of flipped here in Ashlesha, because Ashlesha is in Cancer, and the sign of Cancer, like I said, is associated with the mother, but has a really hard shell on the outside. And earlier in Cancer, you get the shell in a very positive way, solid walls, a sense of security, a forgiveness that comes when you have people who share a mindset or a blood with you. It's like those positive sides of family. In Ashlesha, we have a star that is actually ruled by the cold planet Mercury, and Mercury is very calculating, very tactical. And in my Mercury video on my YouTube, I talked about how it feels very almost alien or robotic a lot of the times, because Mercury is the mind, and it's logical and very icy in the way that it approaches things. So strangely here with Ashlesha, we have the closeness of the mother, but with this sort of critical and sharpness, like I said, Tiksna, this sharp bite, this like cutting snake bite that comes with this mercurial critical side. And I think this is a theme that comes up a lot. My husband and I were talking about Fiona and Cake, and how Marshall's mother is like this really overbearing, cold, controlling, but omnipresent force in his life. And I feel like this is a theme that comes up with a lot of us all the time. But I think what sort of happens here with Ashlesha is not that, just like snakes are not necessarily just bad. This side of the moon, because the moon has many faces, like whether you want to see, we can't just look at the happy-go-lucky, beautiful, moonlight, like the sweet romantic and loving and nurturing side of the moon. The moon goes dark. So the moon and this sort of feminine energy has a yin and a yang to it. And so the yin here, the extreme, like I said, this coiled serpent, which is the symbol of Ashlesha, is very cold and dormant. And quite frankly, with this outcast thing, this outcast type is something that's very demonized and ostracized out of our society. And I believe it's through this neglect of the feminine that Ashlesha sort of operates in this very spicy and constricting, suffocating, fearsome way. With it being the snow moon, I think this idea of it being this cold snow moon actually, well, the other day on my Farmer's Almanac calendar, they were talking about how important the snow is for the crops and for the fruit trees and stuff like that. Having a January with snow in it is actually a good sign. So that gives me a lot of hope and faith, because I know that this year astrologically is supposed to be really good. Snakes, this common snake theme coming through Ashlesha are, unfortunately, they're cold-blooded. And so they really need external sources of heat, like the sun. And Shravana actually, like I said, the sun is still here in Shravana, has a habit of revolving around, patriarchal structures. I cannot believe this is a theme that's coming up, you guys. So cringe, but I feel cringy. But literally, Shravana is more so, reminds me, if you think of like a Madonna horror complex, Shravana is the Madonna. Shravana is the one who is self-sacrificial for her children and is willing to be a submissive wife, like thinking of Sita or something like that in Hinduism. Or literally the Virgin Mary has a lot of Shravana themes to it. It's very sacrificial because of that Capricorn vibe. And Shravana has a habit of revolving around the sun. It's like the moon. It's like the moon in its most reflective, absorbed state. And we do have a full moon. So this full moon is absorbing the light of the sun, which is Shravana. But when it comes to Ashlesha, Ashlesha is very intelligent. I was saying too in my last video that the serpent in Genesis is like, he's like coming up from the tree of knowledge and giving Eve this knowledge. And snakes, like Ashlesha, are known for being intelligent, even though they're kind of cold. And Ashlesha is ruled by Mercury, like I said, the intelligence. And sometimes that can come across as hurtful. As Ashlesha has this sort of defensive nature to it, it can sometimes sting. Or even Cancer. Cancer has its little claws. It has its sharp little claws, or cats also have sharp little claws and sharp little teeth, just like snakes do. And realistically, it's because they are vulnerable, actually. It's interesting how Ashlesha is almost asking us to be more protective of the things that we think and believe and feel, and especially our vulnerability. And I think a lot of us end up internalizing some of the sharp words that have been said to us, especially from our mothers. Like I said, I think this is a common theme through a lot of us in the collective unconscious about this kind of cold, critical mother wound, like I said, with a father wound in the last video. And those are things like this power to poison that Ashlesha has. Those are things that can sour so many things in our future if we don't strengthen our defenses towards things that we don't believe about ourselves, that are just unnecessarily critical. So because of this snake, because of this binding star, this kind of coiled serpent thing, we also have Ashlesha as sort of close to the gandanta. This moon isn't happening at it, but Ashlesha is the gandanta knot. I talked about that in the Mula video, between Cancer and Leo, which is the awakening of the ego, where you become sort of a sovereign individual. You find your own soul. You're not as immersed in the mother, in your past, in your history. There's a lot of this like tightening constrictiveness that I think literally has been like, I'm sitting again for one of these videos. I know it's kind of weird, but I guess maybe not. I usually stand, but yeah, it's because my bones hurt, my joints hurt. And Ashlesha actually rules the joints. It rules things like the fascia, like the connective tissue that covers your muscles. And in Ayurveda, actually, these are all associated with water energy as well, including things like the spine, like the fluid in the spine. Ashlesha, and this moon in particular, has a lot to do with where we're holding back emotionally, and a lot of it has to do with judgments and critiques. And so think about, especially sexuality. I don't know like if I'm allowed to even talk about this on here, but it's very important for Ashlesha. It's an extremely seductive and magnetic, feminine, in a feminine way, sign. And so including that, emotions, our opinions about sex, our opinions about intimacy with people, including just being authentic and honest, how there's something to do with Ashlesha here. I will say, like, I don't want to poo-poo on Ashlesha or anything, because it is a really difficult sign, kind of like Mula before, honestly, and Ardra. We've had a lot of difficult energy. But yeah, Ashlesha can have a lot to do with things that are like trickery and deceit, and they can use their cunning to delude people. And because they're so smart and they understand people and are so intuitive, it kind of can turn into a person who can easily speak a curse over someone, for example. I really wanted to talk about that in particular, is the voice. And like I said, the thoughts and the things that we've been told and internalized, but also specifically the words that we say as well it's a creative influence. Like when you are thinking something, that shapes your reality. But when you're speaking something, that shapes other people's reality. And Shravana also, like I said, I think maybe Mercury is also in Shravana, but I know Sun is still in Shravana. And Shravana's symbol is the ear. And so we have, and the snake, I think of like the tongue of the snake. But like I said, Mercury with Ashlesha, there's kind of like this interaction here between what we say and what we hear and what we take in, and our boundaries around those, our boundaries around those things. Yeah. And so I think that it's really important right now for us to, like, if you're feeling any sort of tension, like I said, or resistance or moodiness, grumpiness, irritation, sort of like crappiness, if you will, I think it's important for us to sort of coil back in and sort of come inside, spend a lot of time watching a comfortable movie or eating a food that we like, or working your mind on something that is creative or difficult, like, you know, sorting through something or reading a more challenging book, or, you know, for me, like making art and stuff like that. Making music is really important too. Like I said, that ear and Shravana, and more higher vibrations, like literal resonant vibrations, because the moon is, you know, all this Cancer energy, but also the moon from Shravana is very receptive and feminine and yin, and they hear and they listen. And so it's really important to be aware of what you're literally speaking and vibrating into your space, because it can have an impact on the people around you as well. Yeah. And also, like I said, joints, having joint problems makes perfect sense right now. It's very cold, at least where we are here in upstate South Carolina. But yeah, so be careful of just restricting yourself too much in your body. Like this would be a really good time to like cozy up with a blanket, drink really hot liquids, like take a bath. That would be amazing too. Ashlesha has a lot to do with cleanliness because snakes shed their skin, but also cats are really finicky. Like the cat yonis are fickle and choosy and picky and sensitive. So anything that has to do with more like cleaning your house is a really good time. I know that's kind of cliche during the winter, but yeah, really, because that will allow you to use that critical nature from Mercury while also not hurting people's feelings, not hurting your own feelings, opening old wounds, but you're still being productive while also being relaxed and kind of insular and guarded in that Cancer way. So yeah, I've been cleaning and organizing in here a lot lately, and I feel like it's got my mind off of things, which is nice. And yeah, another, besides this kind of cold, restrictive side of Ashlesha, another thing to be mindful of is things like black magic. I know that sounds kind of like, I mean, to each his own. This is my own belief system. I definitely believe in magic. And so this is a time where it's just important to be aware of any sort of negative spells. Like I said, even people bad-mouthing you, gossip can create a spell in a way over someone. Yeah, hexes, curses, like karmic contracts, like things like that, or things like, you know, that are just unresolved can kind of come around during this time and be exposed or binding, because yeah, like it reminds me kind of like the devil card in tarot, how the people in the card are the same from the Lover's card, but instead of the angel over them in the Lover's card, you have this devil. What is he? He's like a Capricorn figure, like a satyr over here with you know, a male and a female, and they're in chains. And so I think that this is kind of that negative side of Ashlesha, is having like toxic contracts with people and toxic binds and things that are so entwined. And like I said, this poison of the snake that just slowly sets in and stuns you. You know, like I said, Ashlesha reminds me of the Lamias, but it also kind of reminds me of Medusa or the Hydra. Like I said, it is literally the Hydra star, like it's the head of the Hydra in the actual constellations. And so you kind of have to be more careful of that side of the snake, is like their magical abilities and their, yeah, like Medusa. If you think of Medusa with Hercules, who's very associated with Leo, because he's like this hero solar archetype, you know, he has to like fight Medusa with a mirror. Is that right? Like he has to like fight Medusa with a mirror, because if he looks at her, he turns to stone. And you know, Medusa has her hair of snake. Yeah, and this reminds me of that shakti power to poison or to stun. And so to like freeze, to constrict. And so, yeah, that's what this, you know, serpentine woman has, this power to like bind and fixate. You know what it also reminds me of too is Ashlesha people are super associated with like Instagram models or like e-girls, or people who are kind of at home, or like gamer girls and stuff, where they're at home and they're able to command and like hypnotize a large group of people and like suck in and absorb all of that energy. And so on the other side, realistically, if you're looking at someone who like follows a big streamer or something, they're just transfixed, like staring into their eyes or staring at whatever they're doing. And that is that kind of Medusa binding, like hypnotic black cat energy, like Ashlesha, dark feminine vibe that is difficult to handle. And like I said, I don't want to shit on them too hard because it's difficult to be Ashlesha. They are already the outcast type, so they don't need any more negativity coming from me. And I love this sign, actually. I love Ashlesha people. I don't have any planets in Cancer at all, but I have a lot of water planets, and so this kind of fulfills the trine for me. So yeah, I really enjoy Ashlesha in particular. They're super picky, and you know, like my husband says, they're super blunt, but it's honestly their upfront genuineness that also allows them to get hurt. So, and that's true for snakes as well. You know, they are defensive, but it's because they are vulnerable, just like crabs and cats. So that kind of reminds me actually to talk about like the seductive side, this feminine seductive side of Ashlesha. And it can be really difficult because, you know, we're not all women here, right? Like I'm sure, you know, I know that men and women, people of all ilk, you know, I don't know if that's how you use that word, but all types of people are watching this, but we all have a sort of feminine side, and we all have this need for closeness and intimacy and love and affection and true understanding, and including sexual intimacy. That is something that's a part of life, and this is something I can't avoid. I feel like it came up a lot under Uttara Ashada, but it's like enhanced even more so here under Ashlesha, because Ashlesha has this magnetic appeal, the side of erotic dance that is the feminine, no matter your gender, like I said, or your orientation. There is this polarity. The moon is all about magnetic, tidal-locked polarity and reflecting the sun's light. And so we have this sort of yin consuming, alluring energy that comes from Ashlesha that not everybody can handle. And whether they're the recipient or they're the executor of this trait. And a lot of things like exotic dancers or belly dance, all of these sort of like magnetic things are so associated with this. That's why I said it reminds me of the Lamia. I'm pretty sure a lot of them have like songs on like Tactics was my favorite Final Fantasy game, but they have like the frog kiss song or like the poison night song. I know they have night song and it puts everybody to sleep, even the enemies. And yeah, that just reminds me of this sort of hypnotic, seductive side of Ashlesha that, I mean, at least where I'm from, is very demonized. Like, you know, this might not be for everybody, obviously, but just in my own life, like I said, opposing that mongoose, you have like all of this flow, this like watery feminine flow, this juiciness that helps, by the way, it helps with the stiffness. It helps to loosen things that are like having nerve pain and like back pain and like a horrible posture. That all comes from this deprivation of intimacy, like of like closeness and warmth. And especially through such a cold time, it's really difficult when we're already closed off people to be isolated in our homes and disconnected from people even further. And even if you can't connect, like if you are a single person or, you know, you just have issues with intimacy for whatever reason, you know, this is still a good time to work on, you know, intimacy with yourself and doing things like dance or yoga and getting to know your body again and reintegrating some of that juiciness and that passion back into your nervous system. That way you don't feel too touch starved or deprived. Like you can care for yourself without outcasting these needs that we have as adult humans. So yeah, I would say that that's pretty much everything I have to say about Ashlesha here. It's a kind of a cold time. Like I said, it's the snow moon, and it's the opposite of the solar man, this patriarchal thing I was talking about before, soaked in the scalding sunlight. Now we have this sort of cooling, internal, reflective, introspective Ashlesha, which I think is very nice right now. Like, go read a good book with some hot tea and don't fight with anybody. Because I think that Ashlesha, like I said, is known for their sharp tongue and saying things that stick with people for a lifetime. I think that's everything. If I missed anything, I'll just put it down in the comments. So yeah, that was my little 2 cents about the full moon in Cancer. And yeah, I hope you guys are all having a good winter and enjoyed all the snow, because it actually did snow a little bit. That was pretty fun and serendipitous. And yeah, anyway, I love you all. Bye. So yeah, here I am. I am definitely trying to channel that Ashlesha energy today. I straightened my hair for that black cat energy. And also I have my cat dimension shirt, if you can see. So I really wanted to try, and I did a cat eye. I don't usually necessarily do like nothing on the bottom lash line, but I feel like that's very Ashlesha.